joins the Antisocial Network.
Yeah. Mask up, stay 6 feet apart.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Hello. Oh, welcome, gentle listeners, once again to YUH with Lisa, Phil, and Aaron from California. My goodness, his arms must be tired. We are speaking this week with CJ Plain, and we are talking about an album by Tony Carey. The album is, well, how about CJ? What makes you bring this album to us?
Let's go ahead and say that it is a Aaron's Audio Edibles episode,
Yes.
because I had not heard
sorry.
this album before, so this qualifies.
Yeah.
Go ahead, CJ.
This is one of my more favorite records. It was one I found in a bargain bin at Harmony House.
Oh, I love those
for
clown
$1.
things.
It just looked interesting, and I knew Tony from Rainbow, so I thought, hey, for $1, what do you got to lose? And it ended up being one of my more favorite records that most people don't know about. I've never really got to pontificate so much about this one as other stuff. So,
Well, here's your chance.
it might be interesting. Thought it might be something Aaron might maybe either really hate or really appreciate. One of the two.
might evoke a strong response.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, I had never heard the album before, of course. And first thing I did is I thought it was released in 2018. But that's not the case, right? That was the remix.
It's
that's
Spotify
right.
lying to you. Yeah, it's like 84, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I was coming from. I was like, to me, I was like, well, is this one of these, before I started listening, is this one of these albums where a studio musician collaborates with someone over the internet that they never really even have any human engagement with, and they use a drum machine and Pro Tools and all that stuff to throw together a really slick sounding album, which I'm not taking anything away from that. Those are still creative endeavors, but I'm still an aficionado of human, the idea of a band, actually being in a studio cutting a record, and that's what this is.
Yeah.
But I did find it to be very tight. Was a very tight sounding album. It sounded really well done, well produced.
Yeah, it feels like it has a narrative. I will say this much, and I hope this isn't like insulting in any way. I am fairly new to analyzing music in any way, shape, or form other than, oh, I can dance to that. So, paying more attention to music in any way is like upping my game to a level 2. But I would say it's almost easy listening that rocks, if that makes any sense.
It does.
Good, thank you. I am complimented.
Kind of, yeah.
So the
The
weird
music
thing,
has said yes. So, yeah.
the weird thing for me
Uh-huh.
is, for years and years, I approached music from the viewpoint of a fan or somebody who reviewed music. Over the past year and a half, I've started my bachelor's degrees for music production and media communication.
Oh, wow.
And now that I have knowledge of Logic Pro, Pro Tools, all the stuff that goes into making a record, I hear things completely different than I did a year and a half ago. So records that I used to love, I listen to now, and I'm like, ooh. Stuff that I didn't like before, I kind of appreciate a little bit more because there's layers to the records that I didn't necessarily get or understand before. So, it's a good and bad thing, but Tony very much is Tony. Like Tony sort of just kind of does his own thing at his own pace, and he works with a lot of people, but it's always in person. It's never anything digital. He's very old school analog type, which again, not a bad thing, but you will notice on some of his stuff that you can tell, like it has a very 80s-ish, 70s type of sound and style. You know, almost like you're listening to something from a soundtrack, which I love soundtracks, so it's not a bad thing to me, but some people may not be as appreciative. So, you know.
Well, it's kind of interesting that you mentioned the defects that you hear in albums now, because it's very much in vogue to do these things where they throw the kitchen, like if it's a legacy band, they'll throw the kitchen sink into an album. They'll say, this is the rough remix. This is an alternate version. This is a live version that was recorded back in the 60s or whatever. And all defects and all the shit is in there. And they're emboldened to do this because the produced part, you know, the actual albums that they put out.
Yeah, you block and fill on purpose.
Right. Yeah, there we go.
Oh no, okay. I had to remind him for like 8 times now. I have said, "Honey, could you?" So, well, what I did was I bought cat litter on Amazon and they delivered it, and I can't lift the box.
Yeah,
it's too heavy, and I have asked him a few times, 8, to add some cat litter to our 2 boxes. Yeah. You know,
but anyway.
He's forgotten.
I guess now's the time.
Not right now.
Not right
after
now.
the podcast.
Yeah, after the podcast. Yes. But it's like, you know, so you have a lot of inferior recordings out there, really. The stuff that you really have to be a geek to really appreciate, to overlook the defects, because they were taken out, actually. They were actually redone and taken out. So, but I did find this album to be very technically, you know, it sounded tight, and I don't know how much of that is a result of the remastering, but it was probably pretty tight back in 1984 too. So I usually, you know, I don't want to prolong the podcast too much, but I do like to do some autobiographical stuff. Interrupt me. This shouldn't take more than 5 minutes or so.
Biographical stuff.
Biographical stuff.
Autobiographical would be about Phil.
Did I say autobiographical?
Yeah.
No, it's okay.
Biographical stuff. Okay.
I'm okay with it.
Tony Carey, born October 16th, 1953 in Watsonville, California. He grew up in West Hollywood, like before the era of Motley Crue and Van Halen, when Hollywood became kind of more, I guess, I don't know, more like Clifton. Not that anybody knows what Clifton is like, but it's more, young, you know, not quite as rough, more younger people, more energetic. But, you know, in his age, it was more like 73 to 77. There were a lot of gangsters around, probably a lot of drug dealing on the streets and stuff. Kind of a tough environment at that time.
A lot of his friends were Hell's Angels.
Yeah. So he moved to Germany in 1978. He's lived there for 40-something years. So he's a German resident. Of course, he's most known, maybe, for being keyboardist in Ritchie Blackmore's version of Rainbow. He only recorded 1 album with them. He was also in a band called Planet P Project.
He did 1 studio album and I think 2 live albums.
Yeah.
He did
and
like
his keyboard parts were actually used for Long Live Rock and Roll as well. He's not credited, but he said numerous times that the majority of the keyboards on that record were what he recorded. So.
Okay. All right. Influences, I've found an interview with him. He's not quoted very often at all. There's only a couple interviews out there, so I leaned heavily on this 1 interview, but there's good stories and insight into his personality. He's influenced heavily by literature, Steinbeck and Hemingway in particular. Musically, he's influenced by the Mamas and the Papas. He was in a band when he was a kid that covered a lot of Mamas and Papas. He's a fan of Adele, Pink Floyd. He's dabbled in prog rock, of course, not surprising considering his era. Loves Miles Davis's Bitches Brew. That's one of his favorite albums, apparently.
It's a great album.
He also likes Greta Van Fleet, especially now that they've kind of dropped their Led Zeppelin impersonation and gone their own way. And a nice quote I found was that you can always invent a song every time you play it, which is something I think like a lot of these jam bands, that's kind of something they thrive on. Not that he was in a jam band, but it's like if you play a song differently every night, go off on different chords and stuff like that, then you keep yourself engaged and interested in the music, I guess.
Yeah.
Anything to add about his bio there?
Please.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'll go on and what you guys think about it? I'll go on and just talk a little bit about this album. It was originally recorded, as we just mentioned, in 1984, remastered 2018, and we're kind of covering the remastered version today. His work is littered with a lot of fictional characters. Interesting that the topic of autobiography came up, because really his music is not necessarily autobiographical, and that probably goes back to his interest in literature. A lot of, so here's the big story I thought that came through this interview about this album. Apparently there was a feud over the album between the artist, Tony, and Geffen Records. Apparently David Geffen had stepped back in his role as the A&R director. I don't know what A&R stands for, actually. It's kind of disingenuous. Do you might know?
A&R is
Artists and
relations.
Okay.
It's artist relations, basically. It's the media arm of the label. It's what does the posters. It's what does magazine print, radio ads, that
promotional.
Artists and repertoire.
Yeah.
Okay. So Geffen kind of stepped back and he delegated that responsibility to some different executives, and one of which, and Tony doesn't mention him by name, but I kind of tried to connect the dots. Maybe it's irresponsible to identify this guy, but
I don't know.
Apparently David Rosenblatt was the most prominent member of this team at the time, and he was responsible for kind of helping to revive Aerosmith's career, and involved with Guns N' Roses. But he did not like some of the lyrics.
No, it wasn't Rosenblatt. It was John Kalodner.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
It was John Kalodner. Kalodner killed this record.
John Kalodner.
Hands down. There's no,
Yeah.
Tony.
Okay.
Kalodner didn't get his way. Tony told him to himself, and Kalodner killed the record. So, I mean,
Right.
He had a problem with lyrics on two of the most pivotal songs.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. He didn't like the lyrics on Fine Fine Day and First Days of Summer.
Right.
And so they actually
There's
essentially
like 2 of my top 3.
Yeah. Well, I guess those were pivotal songs on the album, I guess, but they
Fine Day was on MTV, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there was a video for that. It helped really flesh out.
Days of Summer. They were the 2 singles.
But because of Tony's unwillingness to yield, Geffen basically traded Tony's contract to MCA.
Right.
Okay.
And which is kind of unprecedented. Tony said he felt like a baseball player or something being traded to the, I don't know, probably traded to
The minors.
Miami Marlins or
something
something.
like that. Yeah.
White Sox, yeah.
But in the end, he kind of had a cavalier attitude about it. He's like, he don't care. This is like big business, and that's not what he's about. So, but they did apparently John Collin, is that it? Right? John Collin. Apparently, he called around and told them, Kalodner, called around and had the radio stations kind of suppress the singles and kind of screwed with Tony's progress.
Yeah.
And I'll end it with that. That's quite a bit of background, I think. It leads up to the album. We've all listened to it by now, I think. Aaron, were you familiar with the album coming into this?
No, I realized that I'd heard Fine Fine Day before.
Mm-hmm.
Probably from the lounge at Thomas More College with MTV playing all day long.
Yeah. So I thought we would do a little different, rather than breaking it down track by track. That can be a little tedious sometimes. But I thought maybe I've asked everyone to kind of rank the songs on the album. If they could go down the album and kind of give us your top 13. Aaron, are you prepared?
I ranked mine.
Okay.
I sent the link. I slacked you a link to the spreadsheet this morning too.
Oh, okay.
So I've got your rankings in it too.
We're going to come up with a banger, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you got your Google sheet ready. All right, cool. Well, Aaron, why don't you? Oh, go ahead, CJ. Sorry.
So I just actually used the CD. I didn't know we were using the expanded one.
That's fine.
So
The first 10.
I
You can
just
just go with the first 10 then.
Yeah.
There's 11 on the CD.
It's 11.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're actually in a different order on the CD than they are on the expanded. So I just I went with what I had. So I have the actual CD and vinyl. So
Okay. Do we want to throw those songs out, or do we want to just let it fly?
no, I'll just give you what I have, and you can sort of calculate it into where they are according to what you guys have.
Okay.
All the songs I have are on the record. They're just,
Right.
Well, Aaron's system is pretty much adaptable to any.
I will say I found the original album, and then I noticed there were a couple songs not there. So then I found the expanded album, and I just kind of went with the expanded album just in case, because I have been caught out by YouTubing the album and then finding there were 2 extra songs that I had no idea what they were.
Yeah. We usually try to stick with the original tracks in most cases, but
right. But Aaron, I know Philip sent you our numbers for Reach Out. That should be 7.9.
Actually, I don't think I did send
no, he didn't send me that.
Oh, never mind. Okay, in that case, fill it in, hon, before you send it. And that'll.
I just put them in the order that Phil sent in that screenshot.
Okay.
What you got for your number? Let's start with your number 11 or number 13.
See.
Mine?
Yeah.
She Can Bring Me Love.
Let me see.
You
Can Bring Me Love. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of mellow. It just ended up being my least favorite of the 13.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. She Can Bring Me Love. It's kind of a love song for, would you call this a concept album, CJ?
It's not really a concept record. It's a series of songs that are loosely based sort of around a character, but it doesn't follow all the way through it. Now, many of his other records are concept records.
It's supposed to be concept of city life throughout this one, though, right?
Do what?
We're supposed to be city life concept throughout this one.
Yeah, it's basically loosed on the story of Sonny, but he doesn't really talk about Sonny in the sense of one song follows directly after the other. Like there's different themes within the songs that don't fit within the storyline. There's like 3 or 4 songs on here that fit the Sonny story, and the rest are just kind of there. If you get into his other stuff, the Planet Pre stuff, or like the Steel Town record, or the Boys Town record, those are all like Queen Drake style concept records that tell a direct linear story from A to B.
Yeah.
And Planet Pre project especially, Go Out Dancing has 4 parts that are like almost the wall style records that are so big that he ended up doing a whole box set called the God Box. And it's like almost 6 hours of music.
Wow.
The full record. So,
well, yeah, that's some good background on his other work. Aaron, I don't think I explained to you the way we were going to do it is everybody was going to shoot their wad when their turn came up. They were going to go to their whole list, 13.
Okay. You just asked me 13.
Right, I know. I realize that. Yeah.
Okay, number 13, She Can Bring Me Love. Number 12, I Can Stop the World. Number 11, A Lonely Life. Number 10, Some Tough City. Number 9, Reach Out. Number 8, Cold War Kids. Number 7, Hungry. Number 6, Only the Young. Number 5, Eddie Goes Underground. Number 4, Say It's All Over. Number 3, First Day of Summer. Number 2, A Fine Fine Day. And number 1, Tinseltown.
Yeah, I like Tinseltown. I have sort of middle of the pack, but I got the feeling there was one point I was like, well, what city is he talking about? This was before I even did the biographical stuff, and I was like,
Tinseltown's Hollywood.
Right. And then he also mentions East LA. So
Yeah, that's
Obviously, it's
the end of
LA
Hollywood.
in the,
Yeah.
you know.
So, but it's all LA. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if he's not really pulling from his experiences in Germany. I don't think on this album.
Yeah,
But,
this one, that Tinseltown, if that's what we're going to talk about now, my notes on it were the opening guitar reminds me of Greg Kihn Band, the breakup song, and the keyboards kind of reminded me of Foreigner, like Waiting for a Girl Like You. But that ended up being the number one for me.
Yeah, that's a good list.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that's going to affect the numbers to an extent. So,
That's okay.
I'll go ahead and do mine. So starting with number 13, I Can't Stop the World,
Or I can.
or I Can Stop the World. Well, it has to be number 13, right? But I didn't think it was a bad song necessarily, but that's just where I ranked that. First Day of Summer, I have that way down. To me, I don't know, number 12. I felt like it was very good. It was very, I could tell that it was written to be a hit, kind of. And sometimes those don't resonate with me too much. And it's hard to believe it dropped this low because it is a solid song. But like I said, it's a pretty good album. So number 11, Say It's All Over. I like the dirty guitar playing. I think that's the best part of that song. She Can Bring Me Love. It seems like it's if we were to conceive this as a concept album, then this might be a love story interlude. Like at night she waits for him to get off work. So makes life worthwhile to have a love like that in your life. But, Some Tough City is next. That's where he mentions East LA and Some Tough City, Aaron.
Okay.
Yeah.
It builds you up and tears you down.
Yeah, so that's where I got that. But anyway,
he talks about Stanislaus County a ton too. That's where he grew up. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of nostalgia in this, I guess, when he talks about growing up with gangsters and that kind of tough
Where's
life.
Stanislaus County?
It's like Modesto, right outside of San Jose.
All right.
It's a San Joaquin Valley, basically.
So Palm Springs?
Yeah,
Palm
I guess
Springs.
you could. Says it's in the San Joaquin Valley, makes up the Modesto Metropolitan Statistical Area.
All right. We'll call it Modesto.
Says the county seat is Modesto. So, looks like it sort of sits in the middle of Stockton, San Jose, and San Francisco.
All right.
So it kind of, you got San Francisco, Stockton, and San Jose, like sort of like this. So,
right on.
Number 8, I got A Lonely Life. It's got kind of an 80s feel, but in the best sense. I got kind of like Turn Me Loose, that song. I looked it up. I was like, Turn Me Loose. It kind of went off in my brain, and I looked it up.
Loverboy song?
Yeah, the Loverboy song. I don't know how you would take that, but to me, that song kind of, I don't know, some of the guitar playing in it.
That's.
Well,
Wait a minute.
I had a similar thing with I Can Stop the World, because he says in it, he keeps going, I'll stop the world. And I kept thinking, and melt with you.
That's basically where Stanislaus County is.
Oh,
Right
okay.
on.
Geography lesson.
Kind of a weird looking county.
Not just music, we have geography.
That's right. That's what you tune in for our show. You get all the extras.
Yeah.
That's right.
Tinseltown. I got it number 7. One more name shot down in flames in Tinseltown. I like that lyric. Seems to be about the pitfalls of pursuing fame. A lot of people go to LA expecting more than it delivers. But, Only the Young. It's 3:00 in the morning and baby's still not home. Why only the young people, or why only the young die poor? Ends with lie kind of. I just that's pretty solid. That's right in the middle of the pack. 6 for me. Only the Young. Hungry. This is like the bluesiest song on the album. He uses auto-tune, it sounds like, at one point.
There's like backwards lyrics in it, I think.
There is towards the end, yeah.
And that
That's
real
interesting.
deep voice, trippy thing in the left ear.
Yeah, it's It's not auto tune. He's using a what do you call it? A vocoder, whatever
Okay.
that. Like what Peter Frampton used.
Yeah, the
Okay.
do you feel like we do thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's a
He
good
does
song.
he does it on like 3 different songs. It ruins one of the songs for me. Like,
Okay. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Number 4, Reach Out. There was a point in that where the guitar riff reminded me of something that maybe Brian May would have done. Can't pinpoint it
Excuse me.
right now, but when I was hearing it, I was like, I got to put that down because it sounds like a Brian May guitar riff to me.
Reach Out. I heard a Highway Star ascending riff. I heard that.
I think it sounds like something completely different, but very close to what you guys are saying.
Yeah.
But we'll, like I said, we'll get to that.
No, I just want to say there personally, we all kind of listen to it with different sources. Like some people used headphones, some people did not, some people used YouTube, etc. So, you know.
Exactly. That does affect the impression.
I think that makes it, you know.
Well, I love the title, Eddie Goes Underground. It's got kind of a big sound, kind of an arena rock sound. Sounds a bit, I could say, you know, maybe Robin Zander. I don't want to make too many analogies, but Cheap Trick, there's a little bit of influence in there, I think. Put your head down, but keep your eyes open. Yeah, I really like that song. Just the use of the word underground fits in this album, in the scope of the album. Number 2.
Eddie's running from like a statutory rape charge.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Actually.
Oh, well.
Okay, that's dark.
That's the opening line, or like I think the 4th line in the song is basically that he's, you know.
Ask the girl her age.
Right.
Yeah.
He's no anti-hero. He's a piece of shit. So, all right. So
Now, wait a minute. If you didn't ask the girl her age, how old is Eddie? How old's the girl?
let's not get into
Did
that.
she lie? I mean, you know. I'm just saying. Okay.
Well, they'll have to fight that out in court, not
Yeah.
on our podcast.
In
They gotta
the
catch
words
Eddie
of Stone
first.
Cold Steve Austin,
Yeah.
don't trust anyone.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Always get proof.
I mean, when I was 16, I was regularly being hit on by college guys because I did not look 16. Actually, when I was 12, I was being hit on by college guys. By the time I was 12, I couldn't see my feet from a standing position. So, you know.
Interesting.
But that still doesn't make it right.
True.
That's right.
I was like, oh, I have to go home. I was like, these guys are driving by and they're like, hey, honey, you want to go to a party? And I'm like, I'm 12. I'm not allowed to go to parties.
Made you grow up real fast, didn't it?
I already knew how to defend myself.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
And it continues to this day. You're
Yeah.
always fending off
Yeah.
admirers. But
Oh, thank you, honey.
now, Cold War Kids. I thought this was kind of a nostalgic trip, you know, because I am a Cold War kid. I think we're all, I don't know, maybe CJ's not quite a Cold War kid, but everyone else here is. So the imagery and fears are familiar to people of our age, yet there is comfort in the familiar. And here's a lyric: somebody I have never even heard of has a finger on a trigger pointed at me. That really was, like, I had a teacher that really tried to emphasize that point. You know, she kind of scared the living shit out of you. It was like when a nuclear, attack happens, get under your desk.
Yeah.
Cover your head with
I
your
know.
books.
It was like, that'll work.
Don't trust this type of politics because there's really an underlying motive that's trying to take over America or something. So that, I really think that captured, and he's older than we are. I think Tony is older than we are. So
Yeah, well,
probably,
he's 53. He's got about a little more than 10 years on us.
So he's even more steeped in that.
Yeah,
tradition.
he's definitely a boomer, and they experienced a little more of that than we did. But we did get a lot of that, Yeah, in case of nuclear war, get under your desk.
Right.
I'm like
the desk was going to do something.
Right.
I think what it was going to do was the teachers had like a list of
They'll
where
know who the body was. Yeah.
Right, exactly. They'd be able to identify, yep, that's your daughter. She's dead.
That's grim. That's grim as hell. But that song did resonate with me. I can't say it's the strongest musically, but I put it at number 2 just because of the theme of it. And number one, I put A Fine, Fine Day, the story of Sonny, who, the protagonist's uncle, who was released from prison with a price on his head because he had turned evidence or something of that nature on the mob. The video is very good. And it's a very, really good song. Great lead-off song for the album. So, all right.
We are going to save the best for last, so I will go next.
So hold on. Let me number yours so you don't get...
Okay. No, it's right here.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I have 14 songs. I am going to say that first day of summer.
14.
Yeah. I don't know why.
Oh, we'll figure it out when you say it.
It says 14 here.
Yeah. Oh, no. That's because there's a header row. Sweet.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm counting the header. Okay, so 13. Sorry. No, hun, leave it. I can adjust.
Okay.
Okay. One thing I found throughout the album, actually, a few of the songs, there was, to me, a disconnect between the mood of the lyrics and the mood of the music. And I rank for like emotion and mood. You guys have knowledge about this stuff. You can say, "Oh yeah, this sounds like." I don't have that. So, and I'm me. So I go through the mood and that kind of thing. So first day of summer had just like the biggest disconnect for me. Cold War kids, just kind of hopelessness. Kind of sad for me. Only the Young. It did match, the lyrics and the music did match with the sadness that pushed in. Some Tough City. It was baladic looking life in the eye, and not liking what you see. So it's kind of a ballad about self-discovery, I guess, for me. Fine, Fine Day. Poignant, sad that he was forgotten. I've often wondered if prisoners might do better if when they were released, they actually weren't allowed to go back home, that they had to go somewhere else, like a catch and release program for animals that are causing problems in a sense. Not to say that prisoners are animals, but that's the idea that I've had about prisoners, because I feel like a lot of the times they go back home and they tell them, "You're not allowed to talk to your old friends." Yeah, that's realistic.
Right.
So, She Can Bring Me Love. I liked the optimism of like new love, that feeling, that excitement. I felt that in this song. Reach Out. I like the pace. Once again, mood and music, there was a little bit of a disconnect, but the pace brought it up the list for me.
Number 4.
Okay, where are we at? I just
Or
do
number 5. You're number 5.
Tinseltown.
Number 6, I thought. 7's Reach Out. What's 6?
Tinseltown. But what it is Aaron, we have number 1 on this. It's the header, and I didn't realize that. So I actually only had 13 songs,
Right.
which makes this number 5 if we're if we ignore the header. But Tinseltown. I like the spooky intro, and the music fit the lyrics. Eddie Goes Underground. Eddie kind of informed his own end. I didn't get the sexual harassment, whatever it was. I didn't hear that I missed it. So, but I felt it was really rocking, and it was kind of like, he wrote his own story there. And that's what I got from the feel of that song. Hungry. It was bluesy, good melody. I liked it. Okay. I Can Stop the World. I liked I Can Stop the World from the ambitiousness of it. The feeling of, protection that he felt towards his significant other. I mean, it's ambitious, it's unrealistic, but I will comfort and protect you. And that, I found that, I guess that's like a female perspective of wanting to know your spouse will try to protect you. Because we, as it says on TikTok, the bear.
Oh yeah.
So
the bear or the man?
right. Mm-hmm.
Right. All right.
The bear.
Your number
And
one.
Say It's All Over. Very up mood to music, reads as sarcastic in the lyrics. I enjoyed the sarcasm. I liked the music. So
All right.
that's it.
Great.
I'm missing one of Lisa's. So
Which
one
one?
is Say It's All Over. 2 is
Mhm.
I Can Stop the World. 3 is Hungry. 4 is Eddie Goes Underground. 5 is Tinseltown. Is 6 Reach Out?
Yes.
Is 7 She Can Bring Me Love?
Yes. 8's Fine Fine Day.
8 Fine Fine Day. 9
Life.
9 is
10
which?
Some
9 is
A Lonely
Lonely Life. No.
Uh,
Which is 9?
A
A
Lonely
Lonely
Life.
Life. That's one I was missing.
Okay.
Okay.
Then Some Tough City, Only
Yeah, I
the
got it, I
Young
got
Cold War, First Day. Okay. Sorry, I had issues.
By the way, do we sound better?
Moderately.
Okay, so I think
Well,
that
we're working on it.
both of these lines were not completely plugged. I think they were bleeding.
Oh, okay.
So that's why probably the first 40 minutes of this are
And now, ladies and
really
gentlemen,
bad. But all right, the moment we've
and
all
now,
been waiting
ladies
for.
and gentlemen, yes, the moment we've all been waiting for, the person we're here for, CJ Plain.
So, I did the 11-track version
That's fine.
because I didn't honestly realize that there was a remastered version.
No problem.
I see that the 2 songs that were included for the remastered version, Only the Young and Cold War Kids, it's kind of an odd choice to add them to the remastered version of this, considering they're literally on their own record called Cold War Kids. So they're the centerpiece of that record, basically, the way Fine Fine Day and Some Tough City are for this. So adding them to this seems odd to me.
Maybe they didn't remaster the other record and they wanted to get these songs on it or something.
I believe that Tony must have known something we probably don't know. So, I mean, I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying they kind of have their own story of what Phil was talking about, the Cold War and growing up during the Cold War. So, you know.
So we'll start with your number 11 then instead of 13.
Yeah, so where are we at? Lost my list here. Okay, so number 11 for me is Hungry. Not good, not bad. It's just kind of a song to me. It's there's really nothing. Number 10 is Say It's All Over. He uses that vocoder during a lot of it, and it just completely ruins the song for me. It sounds weird when it's not necessary, I guess.
That was a very 80s sounding song for sure.
Yeah. Like it sounded like something from like a bad cop movie or something, like a like a third-rate Stallone or Eddie Murphy cop movie or something. I mean, almost like a reject from Beverly Hills Cop soundtrack or something. Number 9 for me is Reach Out. To me, it sounds like a song Gary Moore would have rejected. The guitar in that just reminds me of a bunch of other Gary Moore stuff. And, it sounds like something that Gary could have done better. Not a terrible song, but, not real high up. Number 8 for me is A Lonely Life. It's another song that's just kind of there for the most part. Does have some cool guitar in it, which kind of brings it up. Number 7 is She Can Bring Me Love. I kind of dig that song. It's a cool ballad. Tony to me, he kind of excels when he does the very sort of low-key stuff like that. Number 6 is First Day of Summer, which is the second video from it. One of the 2 songs that Kalodner didn't like. And he was known for being kind of a dick. Mm-hmm. He killed the career of more than one band. Damn Yankees was one of the bands. Nelson was the other band that he killed the careers of after they had disagreements.
Damn Yankees, that was Ted Nugent, wasn't it?
Ted Nugent, Jack Shaw, Tommy Blades. Yeah, I mean, Nelson. I mean, if you've ever wondered why Nelson exploded with After the Rain and then just sort of disappeared afterwards, it was because Kalodner wanted another After the Rain record, and the twins wanted to do something that was more in line with what their dad did, and Kalodner said no, and he said, "Okay, cool, do your thing." And
I had a little thing for Nelson when they came out.
Yeah, they were. They're still talented.
I told you that.
Still around.
Yeah, I knew about
Anyways,
talk about it every time you get a chance.
number 5 for me is Tinseltown. It has great lyrics, and it's sort of the quintessential 80s soundtrack song. It just sounds like something that would have been on a dozen 80s soundtracks. Number 4 for me is Some Tough City, which is essentially Fine Fine Day Part 2. I mean, it's kind of continued. It's the ballad version of Fine Fine Day. Number 3 for me is Fine Fine Day. I love the story in it about Sonny. It's the first single, the most popular, the one most everybody knows.
Right.
Number 2 for me is, I want to have it number 2, Eddie Goes Underground. I love the story. He mentions in one of the courses, heard you had a little trouble up in Stanislaus County with that girl, the one you didn't ask about her age.
See, and I completely missed that lyric. I should have listened to it more than twice.
I like the story of the song. Not that I agree with the story, but it really kind of almost has like the type of story like Springsteen or somebody would have told about John Cougar Mellencamp, that sort of outlaw-ish, Jack and Diane-ish type of thing. And then my number 1 is I Can Stop the Rain. I just like that song. There's something about that song. I don't know what it is. I know not everyone loves it, but it's one of them songs that I listen to a lot. And it's actually on another record he did. There's an instrumental version of it. Because he's got 4 records that are, us fans consider them the weird records. And they are basically new age, instrumental-ish, Tangerine Dream type records. They were never meant to actually be heard by anyone. But, fans being fans, they got out. And if you're into the whole new age, Tangerine Dream, Mannheim Steamroller type of thing, Yellow Power, Explorer, No Human in Heaven,
Porcupine Tree.
Yeah. Well, none of these have lyrics like Porcupine Tree, but yes, if Porcupine Tree is another great example of what these records, those 4 records, they're just weird. I mean, for the sake of, I don't know what he was thinking, what he was going through, but it's just undeniably Tony. It's what Tony does. So, yeah, that's my list. And then, I would have put Cold War Kids somewhere in the middle. I also would have put Only the Young. I would have put Only the Young probably somewhere in the 6 or 7-ish range if I would have known about him. Cold War Kids probably would have been in my top 4. It's a very cool song. It's a very cool record. And
I have some notes I didn't read off when I did my titles. I just kind of rattled through my list because I went first. So when CJ's done, I'll just kind of empty.
I'm done.
Oh, you're done? Okay.
Yeah, I'm done.
So, I'll go in order of the track list, the playlist. Fine Fine Day. The music sounds like Springsteen. The lyrics kind of remind me of Bob Seger. This is my question mark. Is my note. First Day of Summer. Layla licks and the guitar fills. Reach Out. I think I mentioned the Highway Star riff, and I mentioned my Tinseltown note already. Hungry had the trippy backwards lyrics in the end, and the deep voiced guy in my left ear was cool.
Yeah. Is that the one where he's like singing, but it has like the vocal or the speaking part?
Yeah.
Sort of over
got a weird speaking part in the left ear.
Yeah. I call that the God. I call that the God song because it sort of you're listening to it, but you have that voice, so it sort of sounds like
God.
Yeah, like God's talking to you while you're listening to it.
That was a trippy track. I Can Stop the World. My only note is "And Melt with You."
Mm.
Some Tough
Yeah.
City. I like the sax in the middle. Say It's All Over. Very 80s way. And Only the Young had Tom Petty, Bob Dylan vibes, kind of.
Mm.
Yeah, there's a lot of seasoning in there in this album. It was really,
Yeah.
it was really good. All right, so Aaron, you're gonna, I'm going to try to pull off some
I
kind of audio
I
magic.
already looked at the result here, but
Do you want to go ahead and announce the banger, and then pause for a moment because I'm going to try to use some audio wizardry.
all right.
Okay.
Am I pausing now or am I announcing the
No,
banger?
announce the banger, please. Drum roll,
Ladies and
please.
gentlemen, we have a tie.
Yeah.
Oh, well, what the hell are we going to do about a tie? We didn't account for that contingency.
We got a double banger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Co-bangers.
Okay, well, how about this? How about we let the one highest on
CJ's?
I just let-
list
I say let
becomes
them. I say let them be co-bangers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind
I'd
of takes
call it
two
a
to
double
bang
banger.
anyway, right?
Yeah.
It takes two to
Call it
bang.
a double banger.
So a fine day and Eddie Goes Underground both ended up with 42 points.
All right, hold on a second.
Well, that their song right there is a real banger.
It's a banger.
It's a banger.
It's a banger.
There you go.
Right on.
That's that.
The military thing.
I've collected those voices. I've collected those voices over all the Aaron's audio edibles we've done to date. It's like
Nice.
Thea and Chancey and Aaron, and we've got to add CJ to it too. Anyway, so we got a double banger. All right.
Yep. Number 3 was Tinseltown. Number 4, Say It's All Over. Number 5, Hungry. Number 6, I Can Stop the World. Tied with number 7, Reach Out, I guess. Number 8, Some Tough City. Number 9, First Day of Summer. 10 and 11 are a tie, Lonely Life and Cold War Kids. 12 and 13 are a tie, Only the Young and She Can Bring Me Love.
Outstanding. All right. Well, I think we kept it under an hour,
Mhm.
and we hit on all the high spots. And we got an album that CJ was really anxious to do, done on the record,
And our first co-banger.
and a
Yeah.
co-banger. So checked a lot of boxes. So CJ, where can we find the Music God?
You can find me anywhere on the internet. Just type in Music God CJ Playing, or you can go to musicgodcjplaying.rocks is the website that I'm trying to update and keep up with, but life. So,
Right.
and the last thing I'll add is if you like what Tony does, he is currently still performing a lot of the Rainbow stuff. He does it with Ritchie Blackmore's son, Jurgen. Or Jurgen, however you say his name, in an assortment of other guys that have played in Rainbow throughout the years. And it's called Over the Rainbow.
Oh, I have heard of that.
Yeah. So, if you want to hear Tony still performs. He beat cancer. He beat the same cancer that killed Ronnie James Dio. And
wow.
he's spoken that
Mhm.
he has extreme guilt because having performed with Ronnie and being friends with Ronnie, he survived it and Ronnie didn't. So
Survivor's Guilt. Yeah.
yeah, he says a day doesn't go by that he doesn't think about the irony of those two guys getting the same disease at the same time and he
Right.
being the one that walked away from it. And Ronnie wasn't.
Life can be
Yes.
mercurial.
Well, I'm a big fan of Dio, so I'd love to do a Dio episode at some point. But
And thank you for allowing me to do this record. I've wanted to do this
Coming on.
record for a long
Thank you
time.
for bringing it to us.
right.
There's,
We love
there's
new stuff.
So very
It's like-
few, there's so very few people who understand or appreciate weird stuff. That isn't mainstream. Everybody wants to do the mainstream stuff, and
Right.
I
Well-
kind of like the off the beaten path stuff. So.
I said new stuff like an idiot. It's not new stuff, but it's stuff that I wasn't aware of.
Well, it
So,
is new though. I mean,
yeah.
if you haven't heard it before,
Yeah.
you,
New to us stuff.
new to
Yeah.
us stuff.
Right.
and that's the point of this, man.
Yeah.
So
So like we went to that Outlaw Country Festival last year, and I was like, man, we've got to find some alternate maybe not new stuff, but alternate stuff, because this stuff is getting. So it's like if Tony were to
this
come
is new
through
to
and do the
us.
Ludlow
We would
Garage
probably
or
go.
something,
Yeah.
we would go see it based on
Yeah.
what we heard here. So we do appreciate you bringing that on. You can find us at Yeah Pod. On all the socials. We do have a Wix website that's ridiculously long to rattle off. But if you,
Pod.
Pod. If you search that in Google, you'll find us. You also find us on the Antisocial Network, which we've just joined. And we will close it out for now, and we'll catch you next time with another fantastic episode of Yeah.
Yeah.
Boom
Thank you
Shanka.
very much for everybody for joining us. Thank you, CJ, for giving us new knowledge.